Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I am Dakbo Adigboye. The top stories at this hour. Affiliated agencies of Nigeria's labor unions mobilize for indefinite action over new minimum wage demands. The Kogi state government says the remaining kidnapped students of Confluence University have been rescued. A former president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, warns Electoral Commission against the release of South Africa's election results. Details in a moment. Let's begin by telling you that some affiliated agencies of organized labor have announced their intention to embark on the planned strike over the new minimum wage demands. Despite the appeal by the federal government, the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress has maintained their decision to proceed with the industrial action. Some of the affiliated agencies with the organized labor include Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, the National Union of Electricity Employees, Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, the Judicial Staff Union of Nigeria, Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria, Nigeria Civil Service Union, amongst others. They directed their members to comply with the directive of the two labor centers to begin an indefinite nationwide strike on Monday. In the meantime, organized labor has urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to personally intervene in the ongoing negotiations over minimum wage to avert the indefinite strike action scheduled to start on Monday. This is as the federal government warned that the national minimum wage being demanded by labor could destabilize the economy. Organized labor had given a May 31st, 2024 ultimatum on the new minimum wage. On Tuesday, May 28th, the government and the organized labor broke down after the government and the organized private sector raised their offers to 60,000 naira. The Minister for State for Labor, however, said the strike was necessary, urging the organized labor to return to the negotiation table for more discuss. In the meantime, labor unions across the country gearing up for Monday's strike action. Now joining me on the news to discuss this further is rights activist Hassan Taiwo Soweto. He is the National Coordinator, Education Rights Campaign. Thank you for your time, Hassan. Now, let me start by first asking, this strike action, I mean, we are seeing a more, I call it a compassing involvement, involving not just the TUC and the NLC this time making an announcement, but we are seeing solidarity, I call it coordination or support from other sister unions. What do you make of this particular development? And do you see a scenario where it would happen and if at all be effective?
What that development shows is that the leadership of the NSC and the TUC are not acting alone when they say that the government is not offering anything that can ensure that workers have a better life and that a strike has become the necessary logical step of action. That is what the kind of response you have seen from affiliate unions since Friday demonstrate. It shows that if the government allows the strike to take off tomorrow, there's a likelihood there's going to be a solid strike that's going to shut down the entire country. This is because the minimum wage issue is an issue that concerns every member of the labor unions. Because we all know that given the inflation, the 30,000 minimum wage is no more adequate to support any basic existence. So that the ball is now in the court of the government to see what can be done to ensure that the demands are met. Otherwise, Nigeria may be shut down starting from tomorrow.
Now, let's also consider the impact of this particular action. We are seeing from across sector, from the oil and gas to education to health, even the judiciary. How much of an impact do you envisage, if at all this happening, this would have on Nigeria's economy and also in terms of, compelling the government to respond?
Obviously, it's going to affect productivity because workers obviously are the engine room of production. But we must also be very clear that there is no impact of the strike negatively that can be comparable, to the destruction of the economy that the policies, the very policies of this government, has created over the past 1 year. So from that point of view, whatever impact the strike will have from tomorrow on the economy is actually a corrective impact to compel the government to begin to listen to the demands. And of course, when you talk about whether this can make the government to listen, it's very obvious, unless they want the entire country, to be destroyed. A strike, a general strike, like what labor unions are planning now, is not something, that any serious government should allow, to go on for far too long. So I believe that this can compel the government, to listen and find a way to resolve the problem. But if they don't, then obviously the labor unions will have to decide on the next steps.
All right. Now, let's also look at the demands of labor. How realistic is this demands? I mean, initially it was over 600,000, and then, of course, they shifted grounds to about 400,000 naira plus. And right now, the last, in terms of negotiation, the figures the government and organized private sector were proposing is 60,000 naira, which broke down, and hence we are at this particular juncture. How realistic is the demands of labor vis-a-vis the concerns of certain economic experts, saying that if at all the government raises the minimum wage to, say, 400,000, that would cause inflation?
Well, I will call those people voodoo economists because they don't know what they are saying. Because over the past 24 years, we have seen the salary of political office holders go up, by several thousand%, and it has not caused inflation. We have seen the salaries of CEOs, and MDs and directors at different levels, of the society go up, and that has not caused inflation. But they are saying that workers' wages will cause inflation. This is voodoo economy. It's an attempt to try and blackmail workers. Indeed, if you look at the proposals of the NSC and TUC, you will realize that it's not something that they just picked, from thin air. They showed very clearly the component of those figures they are putting forward, in terms of transportation, in terms of accommodation, in terms of food and service. So that these are things that can be verified even by average Nigerians. But you need to ask yourself, the 60,000 that the federal government and the organized private sector has put forward, what are the components of that 60,000 naira? How much is for transportation? How much is for accommodation? How much is for food? And that's how you then realize that what is actually not practicable is the figure being put forward by the government and the organized private sector. The truth is that if we run an economy that is devoted to making life better for the vast majority, then a minimum wage of 400 plus thousand should not be too difficult for a government to provide. What is behind all of this crisis is because we run a capitalist economy that is, and society that is not interested in providing the best of life for the vast majority. Rather, is only interested in enriching a few. And that is what we need to correct. We need to end the system of capitalism with a socialist reconstruction of Nigeria by putting Nigeria's wealth under democratic workers' control. A living wage should be possible, not just a minimum wage. A living wage ought to be possible in Nigeria.
All right. Now, talking about living wage, let's look at it also from the angle of sustainability on the part of the state governments to be able to meet up, and also private sector and business owners, because we know that over time what has been noticed is once an increment is announced in terms of earnings, particularly for those in the organized labor and all of that, you often see that the price of things also in the market goes up. So how sustainable do you think this will be for states in terms of their capacity to pay, and even private businesses and entrepreneurs?
Yeah, for the states, as far as I'm concerned, I don't see any problem there, especially if the federal government is prepared for this to succeed. We have seen that when it comes to things that are interested, it's not difficult for them to get a consensus at federal and state level for things to be done. It's only when it gets to workers' welfare, that's why you can have a situation whereby some states would say that they cannot afford it. So if the federal government is actually interested, because what you have to ask yourself is that what is the benefit of having a political party, in power, if there cannot be, a united approach to governance? by all of the members of that party in power. The APC today is the ruling party. So that if it's actually interested in providing a better welfare for workers, and at the federal level it agrees to a particular figure for minimum wage, then it should not be too difficult to convince all its members across the 30 states, where they are holding power, at least to set an example for others. The other point to make is this: for the private sector, we must be very clear that it's not workers' wage, it's not the minimum wage, that will create problem for them or that will make them to go under. Prior to now, since May 29, several multinational companies are folded up in this country. And that's not because of any minimum wage. It is because of the neoliberal policies of this government, which is anti-growth and anti-productivity. And that is what should be taken care of. Let the government go and reverse, the fuel subsidy removal, let it reverse the electricity tariff, let it, build infrastructures. And I'm sure that if that is done, then some of the burden the private sector face now can be substantially reduced, and then we can achieve sustainability. Minimum wage, will not cause the private sector to become unsustainable or to go down. Workers' wage is their wage. It is, the direct value of their contribution to production to society, and it's their right to ask for.
All right, thank you so much for your time on the news. Hassan Taiwo Soweto, a rights activist and also National Coordinator Education Rights Campaign. Thank you once again.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Now, staying with labor matters, two affiliate unions of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria have given the federal government a 21-day ultimatum to resolve disputes between the government and construction companies, which has led to loss of jobs in recent times. The unions, the Construction and Civil Engineering Senior Staff Association, and the National Union of Civil Engineering, Construction, Furniture and Woodworkers spoke to newsmen in Abuja, saying the crisis in the sector is taking its toll on workers. News Central Samadin Uyi tells us more.
The press conference was attended by several members of the Construction and Civil Engineering Senior Staff Association and the National Union of Civil Engineering, Construction, Furniture and Woodworkers. The unions affiliated to the Trade Union Association of Nigeria say their sector is distressed, which has led to a loss of jobs of their members in their thousands.
The two unions are looking at about 52,000 workers. Already in the last 3 months, we've lost almost 20,000 workers. And the mass sack is still continuing. If care is not taken, if this conflict is not resolved, it means that in the next 2 months, we should be expecting additional 32,000 workers to be affected.
They urge the federal government to abide by its terms with construction companies and resolve the ongoing disputes with the companies, saying it is taking its toll on Nigerian construction workers.
The federal government should, as a matter of urgency, come up with a clear policies of strict adherence to payment terms. Arising from the foregoing, we call on the federal government to immediately resolve the conflict in the industry by involving all stakeholders in contract awards like Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Works, Council for Regulation of Engineers in Nigeria, CORE, Federation of Construction Industry, FOSI, etc.
They say they are giving the federal government a 21 days ultimatum to accede to their request, or they will embark on a strike action.
We urge the Ministers of Works, the Federation of Construction Industry, FOSI, and all concerned to amicably resolve the current conflict within 21 days. Otherwise, the two unions will be compelled to declare industrial actions in the construction industry in Nigeria to address this issue to prevent further loss of jobs of our members.
The unions are also calling for action to resolve the current insecurity challenges in the country, saying their members are being kidnapped by criminals and bandits as they go about their duties. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we have more stories. Stay with us. Of course, let's move to security matters now, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered security agents to go after the killers of 5 soldiers in Aba, Abia State, and those behind the call for the sit-at-home in Southeast. Tinubu said, on no account should anyone under any guise have the audacity to kill agents of the state. This was contained in a statement on Saturday night. Now, the president, who was reacting to the murder of 5 soldiers in Aba on Thursday, that's May 30th, by elements suspected to be members of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, warned that the federal government will come down heavily against those who have made it a habit to needlessly attack officers and men of our armed forces. In the meantime, residents of Abia State have been reacting to the murder of 5 soldiers in the Obikabia Junction, Aba, on Thursday by unknown gunmen. The unfortunate incident happened on a day meant to commemorate the short-lived Biafran Republic and the deaths of some sons and daughters of the area at the time. Now, News Central's Chinwe Ugele tells us more.
Prior to Thursday, the 30th of May 2024, Abia State had been relatively calm on the days declared for sit-at-home by the non-state actors, with Aba always in full compliance. It therefore was surprising and shocking that some security personnel would be targeted for elimination unprovoked. Some of the residents have frowned at the development, which has now unsettled residents of Aba and by extension the entire state, with the new security measures adopted by the army and other security agencies. Although commercial and other legitimate activities have resumed in Aba, the people are inconvenienced by the several barricades at strategic locations in the city.
The soldiers that were killed, they were also family men, and they have wives and children. And it's really a bad one, actually.
Nobody should kill any man because you did not create any. Even God himself is merciful. He will always try to give us time to change. So for us, or for me as a person, it is barbaric.
Abia is known for peace. Those people that they kill now is their husband, their father, and their son to some people, and their breadwinner to some people. So killing of them will not solve the problem.
The state government had an expanded Security Council meeting on Friday to discuss the development and come up with measures of forestalling such occurrences.
The security agencies, the government of Abia State, and all well-meaning Nigerians feel very bad about what has happened. And everything that needs to be done will be done to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And that even as it has happened, that the due course of the law will take place.
The Army headquarters, in a press statement by the Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Bubat, threatened to retaliate the murder of the 5 officers. While the security agencies already launched probe into the killings, residents are hopeful that only those found guilty will be punished.
I wish the government will be able to handle the situation properly so that the lives of the innocent ones will not be endangered and also be lost for nothing.
The fear of reprisal attacks is always there. When the other soldier was gunned down near the park, was there any reprisal attack? So they should remain law-abiding.
2 out of the 5 slain soldiers were sons of Abia, who have now lost their lives for what many still do not understand. In News Central, Chinwe.
All the kidnapped students of the Confluence University of Science and Technology, Osara, Kogi State, have been rescued. This is according to the state's Commissioner for Information and Communications, Kingsley Fanwo. According to a statement issued on Sunday, Fanwo said the state governor, Usman Nododo, directed full support towards the recovery of the students and their parents, while modalities are being put in place to make Kogi safer for all. He called on members of the public to cooperate with security agencies and volunteer intelligence to help prevent crime and ensure a safer environment for everyone. The kidnappers had on Thursday, that's May 9th, 2024, invaded the university around 9 p.m. and abducted some students of the institution who were in the classroom preparing for their forthcoming exams. While 2 students were earlier killed by the gunmen 3 days after the kidnap, the Kogi State Police Command said security operatives rescued 14 students of the university. Vice President Kashim Shettima and former Lagos State Governor Babatunde Raji Fashola has said the call for a parliamentary system of government being championed in some quarters may not necessarily be the way out of the perceived unjust distribution of commonwealth and infrastructure in the nation. Speaking as a principal guest and guest speaker at the 30th anniversary of the Yusuf Olaolu Chambers in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, they both said the only quality governance would shape the society and indeed the system of government. They advised those calling for the return of the country to a parliamentary system of government to deeply reflect on whether the reasons that caused its collapse before the First Republic have been taken care of or not. Earlier, we were joined by the National Coordinator Middle Belt Patriots, Zari Yusuf, to discuss this.
From the onset, where we had, the regions, and it got to a point where a lot of things were not properly addressed, and I think where the military came in, where states were created, and all of that. Now, the constitution that basically has given birth, what we have now, the northeast, not central, northwest, south, southwest, southeast, and all of that was basically handed down. I've looked through it, and I will still do a very thorough, study of it. But the fact that it was something that was handed down by the military, it was something that was not representative of the peoples, of the ethnicities that make up the Nigerian state, the peoples that make up the Nigerian state. And it was something that equally incorporated or integrated into it the dominance of a particular region politically over the rest. The implication of it is that there would be more, it's something I welcome to begin with, there would be, it's going to represent more of the yearnings of people, or of the peoples, talking about their ethnicities, their localities where they are.
Let's move to political matters now, where the crisis rocking the Edo State chapter of the Labour Party has taken a new dimension, with the suspension of the caretaker committee chairman, Elizabeth Ativie, over alleged gross misconduct and insubordination. The decision was taken at an enlarged meeting of the State Working Committee, which was attended by local government chairmen and secretaries of the party. The development is coming less than 1 week after she was sworn in as a caretaker chairman of Labour Party in the state by the national leadership of the party, after the dissolution of the state ESCO led by Kelly Ogbalio. Nigeria's electoral body, the Independent National Electoral Commission, has assured residents of Edo State, South Nigeria, that the state governorship election slated for September the 21st will not be affected by the damage to the Commission's state headquarters caused by floods. The chairman of the body made this known in Benin City, the state capital, while assessing the level of damage at the facility. Now, News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu tells us more.
The recent downpour in Edo State, South Nigeria, led to the destruction of equipment at the INEC state headquarters. Some enrollment machines for the continuous voters registration, the ICT department, and operational vehicles for the commission were all submerged in the flood. The resident electoral commissioner for the state gave details of the current situation.
That by reason of your coming here and by reason of your encouragement, this thing that happened has helped us. We don't know our force. We don't know how to solve the problems. Thank God it happened before the election. So we are better equipped to tackle any circumstances.
The chairman of the electoral body arrived at the scene to inspect the level of damage, but assured that there is no cause for alarm.
Whatever it takes, since INEC is one national body and we're only going to have 2 governorship elections in Edo and Ondo, will call for additional resources where it is necessary from the neighboring states, and that the elections will proceed as scheduled and will recover from this unfortunate incident.
While residents of the state anxiously look forward to an opportunity to exercise their franchise, expectations will be high on the commission to quickly fix any damage that can mar the pool. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Since the creation of a Niger Delta Development Commission in Nigeria, the adoption of development commissions is becoming more popular. Nigeria's lawmakers are already discussing the creation of a North Central Development Commission and a Southeast Development Commission, all expected to help address development challenges in the regions. News Central's Marvelous Obomanu in this special report sought to find answers why development commissions are now becoming the new trend in the country.
Nigeria's former president Olusegun Obasanjo in the year 2000 established the Niger Delta Development Commission with the sole mandate of developing the region. 17 years later, former President Muhammadu Buhari in 2017 established a Northeast Development Commission. These commissions, although different in their nomenclature, have the same mandate, which is to develop their regions.
The question you ask yourself is, what development impact has the Niger Delta Development Commission made on the Niger Delta? The Northeast Development Commission, some have accused it of being a conduit for mismanaging funds. Some have accused it of being a platform for allowing external interests to infiltrate the development agenda of that region, and that their own agenda is different from the agenda of the people.
Members of Parliament have begun discussions for a Southeast Development Commission and a North Central Development Commission, hoping they would also accelerate development in both regions. However, questions continue to be raised on how they will navigate the pitfalls of the mistakes witnessed in the management of the earlier commissions.
The 2 previous ones have not delivered on their mandate to solve the problems for which they were established. Who says that this one now will do just that? And let me just raise another issue. These development commissions are federal government organs. They do not belong to the regions. They are federal government organizations to address the particular needs of those regions.
There are some who believe that giving states more resources will help improve development at the grassroots, rather than creating more bureaucracies which require more funding to service their operation.
These are bureaucracies. We don't need to create more bureaucracies. What we need to do is to give more resources to the states. And then the media should hold those states to account.
I would want to plead with the people of Southeast in the seat of power, be it the National Assembly, even in the executive, to make sure that it's not going to be business as usual, that this law, by the time it takes off, it will be of a great impact, to the people of Southeast. Because now, what is this commission is all about? Is to at least help bring about health care to our people. Help bring about, at least help our educational sector.
They say that the inability of the 2 operational regional development commissions to function effectively should be lessons for those who will direct the affairs of the new development commissions when they commence operation.
The Southeast, we have to learn from the mistakes that is going on within the NDDC and make sure that it doesn't repeat itself in the Southeast Development Commission. And I really pray that our political class will not play the usual politics with the Southeast Development Commission. Our people in the House of Assembly, in the National Assembly, has been able to push this through. The caucus has been able to push this through. We pray that they will collaborate with the state governors in the Southeast to make sure that the beneficiaries of this commission becomes the people of Southeast.
With both commissions soon to be established, it is hoped that they will meet the yearnings of their regions in need of development. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Obomanu.
To health matters, mental health experts in Edo State, South Nigeria, have called for collaborative efforts to raise awareness and tackle stigma surrounding mental health in the country. Some of them spoke at a summit organized by Health Circle Concept Initiative and the Niger Delta Youth Council in partnership with the Niger Delta Development Commission, saying discrimination and stigma grossly affects mental health victims and also prevents free access to counselors for their well-being.
Stigma and discrimination are major problems that mental health has had to face. It's a universal problem. It's not limited to Nigeria alone, but it's something that all of us have to be involved in fighting it. In fact, the bulk of mental health issues are issues that people, they know they are experiencing a distress. And for all these, mental health professionals are there to offer help.
As it stands today, it has affected a lot of people, and which leads to stigmatization and depression. And as it stands now, the economy, it's been out of everybody. Like the parents that have many children in school today are not being able to feed themselves, talk less of feeding the children.
Mental health differs. It depends on how someone was brought up or the way we tie ourselves to situations. So I learned that our mental health matters because we should know and discover ourselves. We should not let ourselves down in some certain things, and we should speak up to people about our situation and things we are facing in life. So they are doing a very good job, and I say that they should keep doing so because Nigeria needs it a lot. So shout out to them. God bless them.
I would say to NDC a very, very big, much thank you for this program, because we really appreciate the program. It's taught us more about our mental health and educate us more on it.
The summit will be of a great help to the students and the people who attended the summit, because it will help the students to be more focused, and it will also help the student to adapt to the society, to know that taking drugs and other related issue can cause mental health. So I want to thank NDDC who facilitated this program, and also urge.
Coming up on the news, former South African President Jacob Zuma warns Electoral Commission over release of South Africa's election results. We have details of this and more after now. Nigerian authorities on Sunday disclosed that 3 officials and a soldier were killed in an ambush in the southwest of the country by gunmen who crossed the border from Nigeria. The victims were visiting Difa, a region that has suffered numerous deadly attacks since 2015, attributed to fighters from the Boko Haram and the Islamic State in West Africa, ISWAP. Now, this volatile area lies along the shores of Lake Chad, bordered by Cameroon, Chad, Niger, and Nigeria. The region's swampy islands has become notorious hideouts for armed jihadist groups. The Kamandugu-Yobe River, which traditionally serves as a neutral or natural barrier between Niger and Nigeria, has seen its water levels drop, creating multiple crossing points from Nigeria. This has allowed ISWAP fighters to infiltrate and attack travelers on the main road where the ambush occurred this week, according to the Nigerian army. And of course, still on the news at this time, let's give you updates concerning the South African election. The former President Jacob Zuma has sent a strong warning to the Independent Electoral Commission against declaring the 2024 election results on Sunday, as his newly formed MK party believes the polls have been rigged. More than 20 political parties have joined Zuma on this call. They are calling for a commission of inquiry into the results as well as a rerun. However, the Independent Electoral Commission says it will announce results despite Zuma's threats.
All of you will be familiar with the provisions of Section 190, 1C, I think it is, of the Constitution. That provision requires, or in fact provides, that we must declare the outcome of an election as soon as possible after elections. And we have to abide.
Standing by to give us more updates on this is our South African election correspondent, Bongani Sinziba. Thank you for joining me on the news. Now, what's new? What's the update?
Good to see you, Dapo, and good afternoon to our viewers.
Good afternoon, and great to see you too.
Yes, we are nearing to the end. Today, it will be the final results. The IEC, in an hour's time, will be giving us those final results. But now I am at the results center, and I can see the delegates, the notable people, political party leaders. They are starting to trickle in, coming to listen to the IEC, and also the president of the country, Cyril Ramaphosa, is going also to address the nation. But this is the day that all political parties have been waiting for. The final results will be handed over to the president, but firstly the IEC will announce those results, and the final tally that we have is that ANC have lost about 70 seats, the parliamentary majority, they have lost that, but they are on 40.21%, with the main opposition Democratic Alliance at 21.78%. MK, the new kid on the block, is at 14.5%, with EFF, which was the third opposition party, is at 9.51%. Other political parties taking 13.91%. So these are the results that are going to be announced by the IEC. But after this, the work now begins for the three top political parties to see who they are going to go into coalition with. But there are a lot of political dynamics, especially about these coalitions, because ANC doesn't want to work with other parties, with DA also doesn't want to work with other parties, same with EFF. So the question is, who is going to work with who? But rumors has it that ANC wants to work with the DA, but when you look at their policies, they are parallel. So how is that going to work? And I was speaking to some citizens in the morning, asking them if they would want to see a Democratic Alliance and a ANC coalition. Most of them saying that ANC working with the DA means that they are taking South Africa back to the apartheid era. So they feel that if ANC join hands with a Democratic Alliance and work together, South Africa will be back to the apartheid era. But you also look at in KZN, where MK got the most majority, there is also IFP, which was also dominant there, and we also have the EFF. So the question is, how are they going to be working together there? Because MK also says they don't want to be in a coalition with ANC. So the political dynamics starts after the results today. When those results are given out today, then the political parties have to sit down and see how they are going to work together.
All right. Now, the former President Jacob Zuma has actually sent a strong warning to the Independent Electoral Commission against declaring the results of the election, particularly because his newly formed MK party feels the polls have been rigged. I'd like to know what exactly the impact of this might have on the credibility of the polls, and if at all there is any impending security threat, after the announcement is made.
Definitely, there will be a pending security threat when it comes to the former President Zuma. When we were driving in here, we saw a lot of security police with those police dogs outside, showing that his statement yesterday, they didn't take it lightly. So we also know that the last time that President Zuma was arrested, we saw the July, what we call the July unrest. So they are also scared that something like that might happen. But when it comes to the credibility of the polls, it's not only the former president who have lodged complaints. There are more. The IEC chairman yesterday said there are more than 500 objections that they are looking at, which means more than 25 political parties have lodged objections on the elections. So the credibility of the elections, yes, it has gone well, but some political parties are saying that there are some objections that they are lodging. And also former President Zuma saying that if worst comes to worst and the IEC announces those results, they are going to court.
All right, News Central's Bongani Sinsaba, thank you for the update.
Thank you, Japon.
Up next is World Wrap. North Korea has floated another 600 trash-filled balloons across the border, the South military said on Sunday, with personnel in hazmat suits seen collecting piles of rubbish containing everything from cigarette butts to bits of cardboard and plastic, despite being labeled irrational and low-class by South Korea. The latest provocation from its nuclear-armed neighbors does not breach United Nations sanctions on Kim Jong-un's United Nations isolated rule, in contrast to the previous string of ballistic missile launches. Seoul is warned of strong countermeasures unless the North stops the balloon bombardment, saying it runs counter to the Armistice Agreement that ended the 1950 to 53 Korean War hostilities. Angolan giants Pedro de Luanda beat Al Ahly, that's a 107 to 94 on Saturday, May 31st, in the final held at BK Arena to win the 2024 Basketball Africa League Championship. This is Pedro de Luanda's first continental title since winning the 2015 FIBA African Champions Cup in their capital of Luanda. Now, the Angolan champions trailed 52 to 40 at the break, but managed to turn things around in the third quarter to end Al Ahly's three-game win streak in the postseason. Nicholas Fust led the new champions with 24 points, while Marquez Cummins added 20, and Clusio Castro provided a massive performance of 10 points off the bench. Joe Luel Akil Jr., who was named the 2024 BAL MVP, finished with 15 points. Let's also tell you that the Super Eagles camp is officially opened ahead of Nigeria's crucial back-to-back qualifiers for the 2026 FIFA World Cup next week. 15 players are currently training at Godswill Akpabio Stadium. Players in camp are Ndidi Wilfred, Kelechi Iheanacho, Chukwueze Samuel, Fisayo Basiro, Terem Murphy, Ismaila Sadiq, amongst others. Now, of course, still on the team, more players are expected today on before the team's second training season on Sunday evening. Nigeria will host 1996 Africa Cup of Nations winner South Africa at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo Akwa Ibom State on Friday, June 7th, and 3 days later, the battle with Benin Republic at the State Felix Hubert Boigny in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. Let's also tell you in the world of sport that Iga Swiatek took just 40 minutes to register a crushing 6-0, 6-0 win over Anastasia Potapova and reach the French Open quarterfinals. The two-time defending champion showed why she is the overwhelmingly favorite of the title with a relentless dominant performance. Top seed won 48 points against 10 won by the world number 41 Potapova and did not face a single break point. She will face Wimbledon champion next after the Czech ended Serb qualifier Olga Donalevic's run. Now the stats tell most of the story, as Swiatek made just 2 unforced errors, won 94% of points behind a first serve and held to love 5 times. And that's a wrap on the news at this time. But before we go, let's take a look at some of our top stories. We told you that affiliated agencies of Nigeria labor unions have mobilized for indefinite strike action over the new minimum wage. We also told you that the Kogi state government said the remaining kidnapped students of Confluence University have been rescued. And finally, we told you that former South African President Jacob Zuma has warned Electoral Commission over release of South Africa's election results. Don't forget to send in your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. You can also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV, channel 422 Star Times, channel 274, Apple TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Dakbo at Digwe. Bye for now.